Welcome to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast with your host, Brandon Seigel. I'm a published author, speaker, entrepreneur, and private practice strategist dedicated to transforming the way that healthcare functions. This podcast is all about empowering you to create the change you want to see. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. So, in our quick tip episode today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, identifying your ideal team player. I love finding my ideal team player. It's one of my favorite things. And part of it is the criteria, the categories, but it almost takes me back to when I was like searching for a wife. It's kind of like this idea of like, okay, let's find our ideal team player. Let's find our ideal partner. Let's find our ideal client. There's something exciting about searching and identifying someone that's going to create change in everything you do. And so I think sometimes we are hiring to fill a seat versus hiring for someone to change the game. And there's a cost to this poor hiring decisions. And it's really interesting because when the clients that I coach, we also do all the different hiring and all that stuff. They're always amazed when they interview someone and then I interview them, how different our interview approaches are. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I put people on the hot seat. And recently, and I had shared this story in a previous episode, but I had two employees that wanted me to look at hiring their friends. And I looked at them and I had really bad interviews. And they were like, well, they were offended by how you interviewed them. I'm like, if they were offended, then they're clearly not a fit for me. Because part of that is I want to see how you handle being uncomfortable, me putting you in the hot spot. Because at the end of the day, the first job I ever had, I remember I was put on a hot seat and it showed how I was able to adapt, change, learn, and grow. The more confident you are in who you are, the easier it is to be put on a hot seat. So I challenge you because the cost of poor hiring decisions, turnover reality. The average employee turnover in a chiropractic office is approximately 18 months or less. It can cost an employer an average of between 6 and 9 months of an employee's annual salary to replace them, and can cost as much as 200% of the employee's annual pay to replace a specialized healthcare professional. And that's why I say it's like sometimes like when people are like, how much are you willing to pay for the ideal team player? I'll give you $10,000 right now if you find me the ideal team player, without a doubt, because it's tenfold more in recruiting, interviewing, all those different things. And so right now in healthcare, did you know that the hospital turnover rate is at 20.7%, with 95% of all hospital separations being voluntary terminations? That's huge. The new hire risk, 30% of all new hires left within a year, accounting for 40% of all healthcare turnover. 30% left in 1 year. So my first question to you when you're looking for the ideal team member, look at the last 5 years. If they've had multiple employers in the last 5 years, then they're most likely going to have multiple employers in the next 5 years. Last 5 years, next 5 years. Stop making excuses. If you got laid off, then maybe you were at the wrong company. Maybe you were in the wrong position. And there's a difference between someone with a company for 5 years getting laid off and someone who was there for 6 months and got laid off. Like, why'd you take that job? We're not just evaluating them as a candidate, we're evaluating their decision-making in picking the right job for them. And so it's really crucial because every time someone leaves in less than 3 years, to me, that's an F up. I messed up. That is a major mess up. If you don't, unless it's planned, unless I know, unless I've identified this is a role for only 3 years or less, And so industry trends are affecting private practice. Recruitment costs of recruiting a physician can vary considerably, ranging from $180,000 to $250,000. It's a lot. Time investment. It takes about 3 months to hire an experienced RN. It takes me 9 months on average to hire a licensed clinician right now to match my level. Performance gap. New employees may take months to a year to reach the same level of productivity as an existing employee. So I love the book, The Ideal Team Player. Mr. Lencioni crushed it with this book. And he talks about three virtues. And the framework of the three virtues are humble, hungry, and smart. Okay. Humble is the most critical virtue. Humble. Humility is the single greatest and most indispensable attribute of being a team player. Characteristics. Team players who lack excessive ego or concerns about their status. They're quick to point out the contributions of others. They slow to acknowledge their own, and they emphasize the team over themselves. Warning signs. The most dangerous of all and the hardest to spot is the individual who is hungry and smart, but not humble. We're going to go through humble, hungry, and smart, but if they're hungry and smart, we call that a skillful politician. That is dangerous. Be aware, because we cannot have skillful politicians in our practice, plain and simple. And one of the things I say is you can be confident and humble. So people are like, oh my God, Brandon, you're so great. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I still have room to grow. I make mistakes. I never want you to take my word for anything. There's a humbleness, because I know the other thing as part of being humble is I'm willing to fall on my sword. So I tell my team when I'm making a decision, if I'm wrong, I'm going to own it and I'm going to clean up the mess. Hungry. So I want humble and hungry and smart. I want all three. But hungry is when team players want more, whether it's opportunities to learn, responsibilities to shoulder, or work to be done, self-motivated, diligent. Hungry players rarely need prodding to push to the next goal. I love hungry. I just want to know where their motivation is leading them. They share credit. They emphasize team over self. They define success collectively rather than individually. Smart. We need smart people. The term does not mean intellectual or excessively intelligent. It means people smart, the ability to read the room. Just like I tell my kids, Sophie, read the room. Smart people tend to know what is happening in a group situation, how to deal with others in the most effective way. They ask good questions, they listen to what others say, and they stay engaged in conversations intensely. So again, our three virtues: humble, hungry, smart. Understanding that humble is truly a necessary trait, in my opinion. So, beyond skills based hiring, I hire for character, I hire for mindset. You could be incredible at something and honestly have the wrong character, and I will not hire you. I would rather you have no skills and the right character. Skills can be taught, but having the right attitude and personality, not so much. So when I look at the two candidates that I interviewed that I kind of shared with you, there was one that was actually hireable. I just don't think I was in a place to hire her. It was not a direct reflection on her, but what I felt we needed as a company. I think the concern that I had with both candidates is twofold. Not that they didn't have the skills, but I didn't feel that they were humble or hungry. And I want to be clear, they weren't humble because they thought, oh, I can learn this. I can do it. I can do anything. I'm like, don't come in like that. You don't know what you're taking on. Okay. Never come in overconfident. Your confidence that you can do the job can read the wrong way. What I want you to bring is a confidence that you are willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to change. But here was the other thing. Neither candidate did any research. So neither candidate had the skills, and I knew that going in, but neither one did a single ounce of research. And for me, there is a character in someone saying, I understand what I'm interviewing for. I understand who you work with. I've done a little bit of research. I spent 30 minutes to really look at this because I want the job that bad. They didn't do anything. And in full transparency, like my team were like, Brandon, you knew they didn't have experience. I'm like, I don't need them to have experience. I get that. I can train the skills, but I want them to know what they're getting into. And they're like, yeah, but we referred them. I'm like, oh, I don't care if you referred them. They still should have done the research. Don't give them an out because you asked them to be considered. You asked me. I want to see that they have a hunger for this job. If I'm going out, and I'll ask it to you this way. If you bring me a new client to meet with, do you not think I'm going to research them? What do they have? Where are the concerns, etc.? I'm hungry for that. Stop being lazy. Work is how we define purpose in life from the way I live. So you want to work for me? You better bust your hungry bum to adopt the desire that this is an opportunity you can never lose out on. And if I said to that employee, I'll give you $1 million if you come prepared, they would have done it. What I found was they weren't self-motivated desiring the opportunity. They came in just like, okay, I'll show up. And because they know me, I'm going to just show that I can do it because I think I can do it. And then when I say, what do you know about this? And you know nothing, you could have known a little something. So that comes down to the self-teaching that you take on. So when I hire you, I want you to know what you're getting into. I'm coming in with no skills. I've already done some research. I'm ready to learn. Show me. But my whole thing was, I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to earn it. You're going to earn those skills. You're going to make those skills. Nothing is given in life. You shovel the, you know what, so that you can get to the next gear. Show me you know how to shovel, so to speak. So here are qualities, in my opinion, that I'm looking at for private practice success. And this also includes research that these are things we must prioritize. So the first, problem-solving abilities. Strong problem-solving abilities, interpersonal skills, adaptability, technology proficiency. Unexpected challenges will arise at your practice. So it's important you seek out people who demonstrate problem-solving abilities. Communication. They have to be a communicator. If they can't communicate, get out of my way. Team integration, compassion, and empathy. So important. You have to have a team player and a leader that can integrate into a team. All qualities I look and evaluate. And I need you to move beyond your traditional interviews. I want you to move out of the traditional interview setting to get a real world feel. Assess how a candidate behaves, quote unquote, on the soccer practice field, out to lunch. What if you did a grocery test? When you have an applicant you consider a finalist, take the interview out or to a store, grab some groceries or supplies, see how they behave, run those different things, give probing questions, put them in positions that they wouldn't expect. And that is how I get to my ideal team player. I do the unexpected in a respectful way to see how they pivot, learn, and they are able to jump in different ways. And so it's really so important that you understand you can transform your practice simply by implementing the way that you evaluate character, their humbleness, their hunger, and their EQ, how they relate with people, their people intelligence. All these things are crucial. And so it's so really important that you're looking at these things because the last thing you want is a skillful politician, someone who's ambitious, hard driving. He or she knows how to make him or herself appear humble, but at the end of the day, they'll steal your firstborn without you looking for it. And you just got to recognize that. And so we want to audit our current team. We want to assess existing staff against the humble, hungry, smart framework. We want to include character traits in our job descriptions with technical requirements. We want to create questions that reveal the three virtues. And we want to focus on cultural integration, not just task training. And so for long-term success, we're creating team development programs. We're implementing regular assessments. We're investing in leadership training. And so the bottom line, in my opinion, is a lack of teamwork in my office is worse than being short-staffed. Through investment in identifying and defining and developing ideal team players, we can reduce turnover, improve patient satisfaction, enhance practice efficiency, stronger team cohesion, better clinician outcomes. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job, it's to hire people who believe in what you believe. And so, did you know that private practices that used structured assessments to identify ideal team players, focusing on traits like collaboration and adaptability, reported a 31% reduction in staff turnover compared to those without targeted hiring criteria? That was MGMA. And of course, from the great Patrick Lencioni, inspired by him, an ideal team player brings heart, hustle, and humility. Nurture these qualities, and your business will thrive on their unstoppable spirit. Thank you for tuning into this quick tip episode of the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Seigel. Together, we can thrive, not just survive. Thank you for tuning in to the Private Practice Survival Guide podcast. I'm incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. Exciting news. We're now available everywhere, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts to YouTube or anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. So watch, listen, and reach out. If you love this episode, please drop a 5-star review. It truly means the world to me. Are you looking for more ways to elevate your practice? If so, now is your chance. Reach out, go to my website, or email me at brandon@wellnessworksmp.com. And remember, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving.